so they can get back up and running faster. What that looks like is getting an alert the second someone's accessing a system, so then that clock starts from there versus waiting maybe a week for that scan to go through on a legacy tool or something along those lines. So then that adversary has a head start. And third, we're going to adapt quickly to new opportunities and reimagine how to serve your customers with confidence. Splunk's comprehensive visibility empowers your organization to pivot while maintaining the security and the reliability of your digital systems as you continue to make those changes. Opportunities come from anywhere and everywhere as the unpredictable macro environment continues to shift. With Splunk, organizations can confidently explore those new business models or build better customer experiences without jeopardizing those mission critical operations of their business. And now the fun part is actually getting into the meat of how we're going to do that. So the goal here is really to broaden the understanding of Splunk by showing the entirety of the portfolio here. And what we're really going to be doing is helping show off how we achieve these results through our unified security and observability platform, which is what this is representing at the top here. Fundamentally, our goal is to unify security and observability practices so you can make your organization more digitally resilient. With best-in-class tools and automation engines that are purpose-built to accelerate the detect, investigate, and response cycles for incident management, you can respond to incidents quickly at scale, whether that's a security incident or an observability incident, or something with elements of both because you're just not sure. Our unified security and observability platform can help you address that. Our industry-leading capabilities on the security solutions side bring together all of the key capabilities that security practitioners need to drive those faster detections and help resolve those investigations. It's also going to help enable a more coordinated response, thereby increasing that SOC efficiency as well. So then you can ensure that you remain compliant with your company's policies and you're reducing that overall business risk that is introduced. Similarly, on the other side, our industry-leading observability platform brings together all the key capabilities of IT ops and engineering teams and what they need in an integrated package. So for that, you can keep eyes on your applications, your services, your infrastructure, and ensure that your systems remain reliable, and that while they're doing that, they're delivering that exceptional customer experience that the customers are expecting on their end. All of our applications run on the Splunk platform, which helps you manage events, logs, metrics, and traces from thousands of data sources, including cloud, on-premise, and IoT devices at a scale that serves the largest enterprises today. By bringing together the data from across your digital systems, security ops, IT ops, and engineering teams will benefit from those shared insights and tooling so they can work together as needed to prevent and respond to incidents quickly. Our platform is extensible and customizable, supporting even more use cases than what is available out of the box. You can access the vast library of applications built by Splunkers and partners, or build and customize your own with the platform's APIs, SDKs, and more, so you can run your systems and support your services in the way that's going to work best for you. We also provide a growing number of offerings powered by Splunk AI. These are not standalone, but they are an integrated part of our application and platform experience to help power faster, more advanced detections and to help you complete your investigations faster with less effort. With those AI integrations, they're really great because they're helping build out some of those searches. So if that's something where maybe you're not as comfortable or as familiar with, always a great way to go ahead and look at that and see that it's one of those things where it can help, again, just build out those searches, provide good templates, and really build that building block from there to help look at where you could take those searches. I've seen a lot of great examples being like, hey, I need these metrics for this type of report, and the data is in there, and it'll give you a good search. And then from there, that will start fostering that creativity of, okay, well, maybe let me add a few things to this graph, let me add a few metrics, things along those lines. And from there, it helps build that understanding of that SPL language that we're going to be using to search through the language. But then it's also going to be providing that out of the box functionality to where you're not having to manually learn everything about it. You're keeping it to the areas that are relevant to you. And that's just one example of the many different integrations that are available on Splunk Base. So this is really going to be just talking about that digital resilience. With Splunk, you're finally going to be able to get that end-to-end visibility into all of your data and systems across your entire digital footprint. Wherever your data is going to flow, you can now have truly comprehensive visibility into all of your systems. We are going to be powering the SOC of the future that unifies threat detection, investigation, and response, where we are uniquely extending that unification with cloud, endpoint, and network data as well. We are also going to be delivering that leading observability solution that helps prevent that downtime. And now, by joining with Cisco, we can help customers build a leading observability practice that adds on prem and additional network insights to deliver observability across that entire enterprise. Then, unlike other vendors who tend to specialize in one or the other, Splunk is the only leader across both security and observability. We are proud to be a leader in both of these critical aspects of digital resilience, and underpinning all of this is our unified, flexible platform that provides you with enterprise data or scale data management. Splunk is also one of the few solutions that can operate at this scale enterprises need to accelerate their mean time to triage, resolve, investigate, whatever it may be, and solve those problems faster in today's complex environment. And so this is going to be talking about Splunk as a service. As technology transitions from on premises to the cloud, Splunk's focus is to ensure that we are able to help support um, all ranges of customers. And by doing that, we're going to be able to ensure our customers are able to focus more on gaining those business critical insights and less on managing the backend technologies. What Splunk Cloud is going to do is remove a lot of this burden by providing Splunk as a service, including adherence to rigorous security standards and best-in-class service delivery, such as 100% uptime guarantee, resilient infrastructure, and 24/7 NOC and SOC support teams, all while providing the fastest time to value for our customers and the lowest total cost of ownership for running Splunk. Along with our comprehensive set of data collection, filtering, transformation, and routing methods, customers can rest easy knowing that their data is centralized and accessible during an unexpected incident. So if we look over here, really it does boil down to these three simple steps: making sure your data is onboarded, making sure your users are onboarded, and making sure you're getting that value from the data. Over here are going to be, again, those different metrics that are really being agreed to by that Splunk Cloud service. And then there's also going to be a variety of options for data collection and forwarding. So whether that's open telemetry, cloud services, applications, wire, syslog, in-house applications, there is going to be a method for getting that data into Splunk. Now we're going to be getting into a little bit about the different pieces and architecture of Splunk. And so we've gone through a couple different things here. And now what we're going to be looking at is the universal forwarder. The universal forwarder is going to be one of our lightweight agents that helps us parse the data into those key value fields that we see on the Splunk search head. And it looks like I went ahead a slide. And this is, again, going to be that primary way that we're able to collect data. One of the first things that we're looking to do here is, again, move that data into that Splunk Cloud instance. From there, we're going to sit there and parse those values into the index. And then from there, that's where the data will be referenced. It's going to include a variety of methods for collecting from a variety of different data sources. And again, it's going to be a very lightweight but powerful agent that's running. It has a very small footprint. And then from there, it's not going to be doing anything with the data. It's just going to be forwarding it on from there. Machine data is going to be complex, but not invaluable. This is going to be, again, a sample web event that we're going to see from an Apache web server. And this is going to be from a service that is running as an online web store. So here's what we're going to see that is relevant from a marketing perspective. So this is going to be that in this specific example, we can see that this specific IP address viewed as a Belkin Bluetooth hands-free device and their web browser was set to French. So again, we're seeing, okay, this is a user. We're tying that to a specific product viewed, and we now know their language. That could be some great information. Hey, what market demographics are looking at these products? Is that within lines for what we're advertising? Is that within the lines of who we're expecting to see? There's quite a bit of different information that you can gather here. And again, all of that is being provided off of a few different fields here. And again, this is that process that we're going to be continually reinforcing with Splunk. Looking at these fields and thinking about what can I do with them? Because the one beautiful thing about Splunk is we do provide quite a bit of out-of-the-box content. However, it is all highly customizable. And you have the open-ended SPL language to make whatever you need as well. And so part of that can be looking through and going, hey, for my data, this is a use case I can see, and then using the power of Splunk to link it and build those, whether it's a report showing the trend lines for how often things like this happen before a user purchases the product, a trend line to see how many of these users exist in your environment that maybe could be potential sales, calculating that out to potential revenue, things along those lines. All of that is possible here with a few different dashboard commands, and that's what we're going to be really building out today. On the DevOps side, we can see again, a customer was running a Samsung device on Android 12.0, and we can see that they're running this specific platform. And so again, this could be what device are they running on? What applications are they using? Okay, this is an Android phone. Cool. Now we have a good way to split our product base. How many Android users are buying our devices? How much advertising are we pushing towards those Android services and platforms? How is that comparing to the Apple? Is that something that we're seeing a noticeable trend on? Again, these are the different use cases that you could start looking at from this DevOps perspective. What mobile handsets should you be testing? How does that work with the applications? Are there fail logs? Is the application taking too long to load and this is causing a poor user experience? Things like that. From there, we can start looking at the IT ops use cases. In this example, we see again that web server that serviced the request, the page that the customer viewed, and a session ID that can help us track the customer's journey through the website. We can also see that the customer is using Mozilla 5.0 and that this website interaction generated a 503 HTTP status code. We can sit there and look and make deductions whether that's good or bad. Typically, we're going to know that that's something bad because that's just going to mean something went wrong within this request. But all of these are going to be great pieces of information. Again, we have that client IP linking a single user. We have a status code letting us know what happened. We have the amount of objects that were returned. We have that ID of the web session and the browser. So we can start looking at why is this happening? Can we replicate it? Is this something that will continue to impact other users? And so on from there. So now what we're gonna go ahead and do is everyone should have a Splunk instance, and we're gonna take a couple minutes, no more than about probably 5, and just make sure that everyone is able to access their instance using the username and password that we see here. And if there are any issues with either not having an instance or there's something where we need to go ahead and make sure that we're provided an instance or there's something wrong with your instance, please feel free to use the chat and just let us know so we can make sure to get right on that.
Actually, the Q&A would be the place to send us a notification that you're having a problem.
As we continue to sort out any additional instance information, go ahead and start looking through at what we're going to be doing here. So the first thing we're going to want to go ahead and do is log into our Splunk instance. And again, once we hit that log on button, this is going to be the page that it takes you to. And this is again going to be the primary landing page when you are using Splunk. So today, what we're going to be doing is using the applications and add-ons to provide customizable content and capabilities for a variety of the technologies that we're going to be building out for today's lab. The beautiful thing is they're going to be a great way to organize and share your content, such as reports, dashboards, and anything else to Splunk users. Anyone is going to be able to build applications and add ons. And today we're going to create our own app that contains a dashboard that we're going to be covering some of those business cases that we were talking about earlier. Since Splunk is going to be a data platform, we're also going to have to load in some data before we can do too much on the Splunk side. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to visually walk you through what we're going to be doing on the lab, and then you'll have about 5 or so minutes, 5 to 10, depending on the lab, to go ahead and play around and build out that integration yourself so you can get that hands-on experience. If you're following along as we're building out the lab, you can use that time to sit there and explore additional use cases or play around with the platform to see what else may be available outside of that lab. And again, if you look in the chat, there are going to be those resources that were provided to the workshop guests here. So that's going to be, again, that lab guide, reference sheets for the searching terminology, as well as other good additional resources. Um, as always, again, please feel free to use the Q&A if you need any assistance for anything, and we will be able to get right on that. And so the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is create this application. So again, this is going to be quick links. So if you need to add data sources, you need to start searching your data, configure mobile devices, teams, manage permission with role-based access. There's going to be a variety of great links here for you. There's also going to be, again, great resources that are available. To kick things off, though, we're going to go ahead and start making that application. So we're going to take our mouse cursor here, if we can see that moving around, and we're going to go ahead and click on Manage here. I'll let that load. And again, these are going to be the applications that are currently installed in our Splunk environment. Assuming you have the right permissions to view all of the applications, this is where they will present themselves as you're moving through the Splunk environment. And so again, we just clicked on that apps and manage here. We're then going to take this cursor over and create the application up here in the top right. These are going to be the fields that we typically see when we're making these applications. And then I'll walk through what each of these are going to be. The name is going to be what we're looking to name it. And we're going to also specify the folder name when we get there in a second. When we're giving the name, one thing to note is that there can be spaces in the application name, but not the folder path. So just something to be aware of. The name that we're going to go with for today is going to be Splunk4Rookies. From there, we're going to go ahead and just leave it at Splunk Home Apps, I believe. Version, that's fine to leave as is. Author, you can add the name that you're looking for. Description is going to be a description of the application here and what we're going to do from there. So this could be, here's what the app is doing, here's what's included, specific views that are in there, things along those lines. And yeah, I can increase that zoom here. Oh, come on. Let me see here. I don't know why this ain't working here. I'll just do it the manual way. All right. Is that a little bit easier to see for everyone? Hopefully so. I'm going to go ahead and again let it know that I am the author here. We're just going to have the Splunk for Rookies workshop. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and have the bare bones sample template there. And in the event that you needed to upload an asset file, you can do that here. Go ahead and save that there. Oh, just leave that there for now. It's not liking that. There we go. Oh my gosh. Life hates me. There we go. We'll just leave that blank. Wired field. Cool. Need 2 seconds to double check that. Which one it's wanting me to throw there. Leave it at desktop, I guess. See if it takes that. That works. Perfect. So then from there, whenever we go out, and again, it's a little easier when you have the exact file path that you're going to be downloading to. In a real world scenario, you would typically have your Splunk deployed instance in a set file path. And then from there, that would be what you would copy into that location there. And so then from there, what we're going to do is now we have a variety of the different applications built out. Since this is one I built out for myself, it's now going to be added to the drop down here in the top left. So we'll zoom in a little bit more so we can see that, what that looks like. Again, we see that Splunk for Rookies right here. Go ahead and click that. And now that means we're going to be in our application here. Search and reporting is going to be where we're sending our data. That's going to be the core platform. Typically, we want to build out these integrations into their own application. So then from there, we're able to have it more siloed and isolated in a way that it pertains to each use case. In this specific scenario, we're going to be building out some pretty important business case dashboards that can be used from a variety of views. So we're going to want to keep that in this Splunk for Rookies application here. Once we're in there, that means the dashboards, the reports are all going to be saved into this application. So then anyone who further has access to that application on the search head is able to see those changes as well, if that's something that you would like to do there. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to have to add some data. If we were to start searching through things right now, we wouldn't be able to see, hey, this is what's going on within our search head. There's no data there. So what we need to do is go ahead and add that in. How we're going to go about doing that is we're going to click on settings. And then if you look, there's a giant add data tab here that we can click. And I'll go ahead and zoom in on that for you guys just so we can see. Again, we took our cursor to the top right here, clicked on settings, and then we're clicking on this add data icon. Splunk is deciding we need a nice tour right now, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to skip that. We're a little busy at the moment. I guess my onboarding guides aren't ready, which is a shame, but that's fine for now. What we're going to be doing in this scenario is we're going to be looking to monitor a specific directory, as this is going to allow us to pick up any new data as it's generated by this web server. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on monitor. And then from there, we're going to select files and directories. And then once we're here, we're going to go ahead and click on browse. If there's any questions that are coming up for any of these different data sources, there's always going to be some frequently asked questions down here, which can have some great references to information. So again, it's really good stuff in the event that that's something that you need. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and select browse. From here, typically we're going to need to know off the top of our head, hey, where is this going to be? I am a bit of a cheater. I run the workshop, so I know it's going to be under this var folder. That is also going to be the one at the very bottom here. So if we just click on that blue arrow next to it, we'll see that there's a variety of drop downs here. What we're going to be looking for is log. From there, we see quite a few different resources that are available. Again, these are going to be different log files, sensors, all kinds of different stuff that we're seeing. However, for this specific type, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking for those web logs. And so from there, we go ahead and click on that. And then I'm just going to hit select. If there's an include list, so there's a specific things, hey, make sure that we have this in here in the event that it is in the data, you can throw that in there. You can also throw in specific expressions as well that can make things excluded as well. So whether we're trying to include or exclude, that can be very beneficial, especially for things that we're monitoring. So if we don't want to get spammed by a bunch of false positives, or we do want to make sure that we're creating a good environment for the data, things like that can really help increase the fidelity of those alerts. The next place we're going to be going here is we're going to be navigating to the top right, and we're going to be clicking next. So again, just to recap what we did, we clicked on settings, we clicked on add data. So again, settings, add data. From there, we're going to click monitor because we're monitoring that specific file directory from that web server. Files and directories, and then we found that specific file path location. So that's going to be telling Splunk, where is this data going to be pulling from? What file path do I need to be monitoring? And if there's anything new to that, please bring it in. From here, the next thing that we're going to do is look at the input settings. So this is going to be a few different things on here. We're going to see things like a source type. And this is going to be the default fields that the Splunk platform is going to assign to all incoming data. It's going to help Splunk tell the Splunk platform what type of data you have, so then the Splunk platform can format that data intelligently during the indexing. It's a way to help categorize your data so you can search it easily. For example, that could be a specific vendor tool that knows, hey, this is what that's going to look like. In this example, we're going to be able to have a web log server that monitors those access combined logs that we're going to be pulling from. And so from there, that's how we're going to be able to tell Splunk, here's what data looks like. I like to think of it as the Rosetta Stone almost for Splunk. It's going to normalize all of these different languages so everyone's able to mutually understand what we're saying. So from there, because I need to go ahead and specify that, I'm going to go ahead and select it. You can always leave it up to Splunk to automatically detect them, and it can. However, typically it is going to be best practices to make sure you're setting it yourself just so you can have that increased confidence that we're going to be going through there. And again, there is a lab guide that is provided that is walking through all of these steps as well. So if you would like to follow along, please feel free to do so as well. So again, all we've done is we have made this application, the Splunk for Rookies, and now we're adding data through the Add Data tab here into that Splunk for Rookies application. Now what we're going to do is select that source type. So this is going to be, again, looking for things that we're going to be needing here. So we know that this is going to be web files, and we can go ahead and click on that. If it was something along the lines of metrics, applications, databases, emails, there will be additional source types that you can add on here. We'll cover a little bit later that there are additional ways to get these source types as well. There's going to be a repository called Splunkbase where all of our partners, community, Splunkers, SEs, customers, everyone can publish Splunk content. And then from there, you're able to get access to those resources and add them to your environment. Whether that's pre-built views, all the pretty dashboards that we're used to seeing, or in this case, it could be something like an add-on, which helps us have the source types there. So if we're looking at what, again, these source types are, again, they're just helping us normalize that data. So we select that web one here. Oh, got to go over and pop it. There we go. And then from there, again, we're going to be doing this access combined tab here. And I can zoom out so it looks a little bit more refined here. So again, just going to click on that. That's now going to add this here to the source type. So again, that's just telling Splunk, hey, whenever we're seeing these logs from this directory, look at it through the access combined lens. And again, that's just going to be how we're normalizing that data on the back end. The app context is going to be important. Which application are these changes going to be pushed to? And which of these source type searches and things along those lines? So again, when we're selecting, we clicked select, it opens up this drop down here. We'll click web, and then we have the access combined here. This is just going to be where those configurations for these use cases are going to be saved. The next is going to be the host. So that's going to be where the Splunk is coming, or the data is coming from. So when the Splunk platform is going to index that data, all of the events receive a host value. And that should be the name of the machine from which the event originates. The type of input you do choose determines that value here. So for here, it's likely going to be some demo because we're using event generation. However, in a typical environment, typically you would want to name it as the endpoint server machine that you're going to be leveraging there. From there, we're going to have the Splunk index. The Splunk index is going to be where we're storing that data chronologically based off of time when it was indexed. This is going to be important because this is going to be how we're able to look at data both in real time and as it's coming through the environment and historically. So, for example, if it's, hey, we found evidence that there was someone in our environment for a while, let's go find when they initially got into our environment, you're going to have to look through quite a bit more logs than just the last week or last 24 hours or things along those lines. So having access to this and having access to the storage is going to really keep that scaling use case in mind here as far as being able to reference that data quickly. Typically, it's going to start with the default. However, we normally don't want to do that. It's going to ask you to usually put it in one of these, and that's just not going to be best practices. Typically, we're going to want to create our own index for the purposes of data sources, whether that's, hey, we're bringing in Amazon Cloudflare and we have an index built just for that Cloudflare data. So then when we're making changes to that data, we're able to do so successfully without degrading our Splunk experience. Because if we just had one Amazon index, well, there's a variety of services that would go in there. There's a variety of source types, and that makes understanding how much data you're sending, understanding how much data you need to clean, and applying those changes in a reasonable fashion a little bit more difficult of a process. Thankfully, though, this is a Splunk environment we do not need to worry about, so we can just leave this at the default setting. But typically in your environments, you're going to want to build those indexes per the best practice guidelines of the data source that you're going to be using. So we can, again, just leave that at default there. Just did want to take some time to explain that just because, again, sending your data to one massive index is going to create quite a few problems. From there, we're going to click review. And so this is, again, a good chance to look at any additional information that you have added, anything else that you're looking to do. And from there, what you're going to do is hit submit. And we should get the file input has been created successfully. From there, now we have access to start searching through our data. And this is going to be, again, when we can start looking through things and start finding out some of these fun little use cases. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to click on start searching here. And again, this is going to look for that specific file. So again, it's looking at this specific source with this host and this source type. And it's looking across all time. And so this is going to be a great time to jump into what are we seeing when we're looking at the Splunk UI here. We have our search bar, which is, again, that bar that we can search a variety of terms. It doesn't have to be this complicated. It can get as complicated or as simple as you would like it to be. We have a time range selector that is going to provide a host of options that you can use to help filter these events down from large amounts. So right here, it's 371,000 down to, if we were to look at the last 4 hours, for example, it's going to be 20 to 30,000 along those lines. It may be more because we just ingested that file, but this is going to be that perspective there. We also have a histogram that is going to show these events on the timeline that you selected. So as we're looking through the data, we can see minute by minute, hour by hour, month by month, week by week, whatever it may be, what the data looks like for that. We can also drag and look through to look at a specific time range in the event there's a really big peak, valley, spike, something along those lines. We can deselect that as well in the event that we needed to. And again, all of these are helping provide that visual clarity to help understand what it is that we're looking through the data, how often and how long it's coming through. And then from there, it's going to sit there and provide the raw data down here that you can click through. If we were to open up one of these events, we can actually see how Splunk is parsing out all of the different metrics here. So we see the host value, the source type, but if we look at the actual event here, we see the method, product ID, domains. So that's going to be Buttercup Enterprises, the company that we're using as an example here, and other additional information. From there, you also have the ability to have actions take place, whether that's editing specific tags, adding things to searches, looking through and creating an alert based off of that. There's a variety of things that you can do. What that looks like is, for example, I want this specific client IP. I can go ahead and add that to the search. Or, hey, this is populating quite a bit in my environment. I want to make sure this isn't showing up so I can have a more holistic view of what's going on. So again, this is all that raw data. And again, all this search is doing is letting us know everything from this source and this host and this source type, which is that file that we just uploaded. The cool thing is we're going to have a variety of fields that are in all of these different log files. We have the three standard ones that we see when Splunk is indexing data. So again, that's going to right. Am I good now? Oh man. All right. Reading through the chat here. Yes, Abdul, the event counts are going to be different for all of the different instances. It does depend on when those things were created. And it looks like there may be some people sharing instances. In that case, just change the names and try and see if you can save it or follow along. We can kind of look to resolve that as we kind of move through here. It looks like it was only a few minutes of audio outage. So what would be, I guess, the last thing that was heard here? Prior screen. Cool. And appreciate all the heads up there. Um, yeah, that's definitely a feature we need to turn off on the headset there as far as it being able to turn on there and turn off. So as we start to look through the fields, yes, we can exclude, we can add these to searches and things like that. And that's going to be how we're able to build out those reports, those searches, alerts, things like that. So when specific criteria are met, we're notified, it pops up on a dashboard or things like that. And where I was transitioning to is we provide 80% of the fields that are detected within the Splunk search. So again, we're looking at a specific directory and making sure that we're pulling in all that data from there. And so this is letting us know for all the logs that are in this web logs directory, here's the interesting fields that we see. So we can see things like action, bytes, client IP, indexes, method. There's quite a few options here. If we click on all fields, it's going to have all of the different fields that are in the data. And if we look up top right here, and I'll zoom in a little bit, we can look at the different coverage that is available. So again, if we want 100%, 1% or more, all fields, it helps filter through and go through and see what's available there. Zoom out there. And again, you can also select these to populate in the default. So again, if, for example, product ID is just something I use constantly, I can go ahead and click on that. And now when I close out of this, It's up here, readily referenced, no matter how much coverage there is. From there, I can start looking at some cool things. There's going to be statistics that are applied. So, what are the top values of this? Top values by time. What products sell very rarely? What are all my events with just the product information? All of these things can be done with just a click. And again, this is going to be showing some of those different ways that we can start building out some of these different visualizations here. In the event maybe a sideways bar chart isn't going to be the best way to do this, we can flip it to a pie chart. We can change the format to, hey, I need something more than 5% than 15%. Show me that coverage. Things like that you can do. There's all kinds of methods that you can do. Trellis layouts, so whether you're wanting to aggregate things, you can change the different fields down here as well, which we'll get to in a second. And then from there, you're able to see any patterns in the events that you want, all kinds of things like that. So we'll take out that search there. Again, this is just to show the power of, hey, I can click on this and click on this, knowing nothing more than the directory with which all those logs are coming from. And then from there, with a few clicks, I can save that as a report if I'm looking up top right here. I can save this as an alert. So, hey, every time I get a 503 error with these products, let me know so I can get on that and I can make sure my customers are able to have a seamless platform. Things along those lines. There's a lot of options available, and that's where we're really going to start digging into. So again, that's just going to be a great overview of the search head there, the different options that you have available, and just some of the ways that we can go ahead and play around with that data. And so again, we're going to go ahead and we're going to be in that application here, and we're just going to be start trying some searches. And this is going to be more of a free form, again, just trying to understand what is going on. So let's say I'm a Splunk user. We'll go ahead and start all the way over. I've just logged on to my Splunk instance. I just got a request from my boss where it's, okay, I need to look at all of the 503 error codes that we were seeing, and I need to see that through every time that happens with a purchase for the last hour. So in my head, I'm not going to sit there and try and outcode something or try and do some of the craziness there, but I do know, hey, I've been told this works like Google, and I can sit there and really just start with the base and build my foundation from there. So I'm going to just start with 503. And again, we're going to be looking for that last 60 minutes. So I'm starting to pull through. Okay, we've got our 503s here. We're seeing, again, those different product IDs. We can see how many of these different events happen by that. See the files that are happening, whether it's the cart or so on. But now for here, it's all right. I need to just add that purchase though, because that's what we're really looking for. And so again, I'm going to throw that on there. So now I'm starting to see, okay, here's where these actions are taking place when there's a purchase going through. From there, I can start again looking through, okay, what happened right here by just dragging and dropping. And just through that one quick action, I went from 165 events down to 13. I could also sit there and go, you know what? Now that I think about it, we don't always say purchase here. It may be purchasing, purchased, in the process of purchase. There's all kinds of ways you can get around that. So what we'll do is we'll go here. We don't need all that extra purchase stuff. What we need is we need to catch the first part of purchase with the PUR, and then we're going to add what's called a wildcard, which is going to capture everything after that. So whether it's purchasing, purchased, purchased just normally, it'll help catch those additional states that may just have a different style of naming. Typically, this helps with things like failures, failing, failed, and so on. There's a variety of ways you can use this. This is one of those things where the more wildcards you add, it is going to have an increased search load, and it's going to be referencing, again, all of the index data. So as you scale your platform, one of the best practices that you can start with is really refining what data you're going to be searching through, how long you really need to search that data, so then you can start gaining those actionable insights. But when we're starting off the bat, sometimes we do need to use those wildcards, which is why they are available here. And so we'll go ahead and run this search and see if we capture any additional information, which sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It just depends, again, on what's going on. But again, there's a variety of things I can do here. Maybe I need to sit there and add some parameters. So I need the purchases. So we'll do purchase, or, and I can add a Boolean here, add to cart. So what this is going to do is look for all the 503 errors that either have purchase or add to cart in that log file. So again, when I go ahead and run that search there, this is going to be what we're seeing here. Again, we're catching those add to carts, but we're also catching purchases. And again, if we notice, we went from 164 events and it looks like we gained about 144 of them. So that's going to be, again, something that isn't going to be something that we're looking to see in our environment. And now that's letting us know, hey, these are starting to build. Maybe I need to sit there and look at some additional things. Okay, I know that, let's go ahead and make sure that there are no successful resolutions here. And like, let's see what that looks like. So we know that that's going to be, oh, if I could type, a status equals 200, not action equal purchase. Oh, yep, there we go. And so again, this is going to be looking for those. Maybe I need to space these out. I cannot remember. Pretty sure I don't though, but we should be fine here. Um, but this is one of those things where, again, it's going to be letting us know, okay, what events happen where things are successfully resolved. And again, since we're not looking for that action purchase, if we go look through, we're going to be seeing that it's on those action items. We're going to be seeing everything but that there. And so again, it looks like there's quite a bit successfully resolving here, which is great. But again, we need to sit there and maybe start understanding the numbers of what's actually going on there. So what we can do is we can actually just take all this out, because again, this is going to be a real world example. It's okay, let me run a search, see the numbers, what's going on. And then from there, we're able to start gathering that information. So we know action equals purchase. And then what we're going to do, and this is going to be personal preference, you can pipe right here and continue to type. But what we're going to be doing is using this pipe command to help parse that data through these transformations. So for here, what we're going to be doing is what's called a stats command. So if we type stats here, we can see that this is going to help provide those statistics grouped by a variety of fields. So this could be, hey, count by the number of hosts that are having this incident happen. Count by the statuses that are happening. Count by the number of users that have this specific status. These are going to be really great ways to go ahead and start building out some of that functionality. So again, if we're seeing stats, and again, I'm a little, I like having it just stacked on itself quite so I can see where I mess up my searches, but it's one of those things where it also helps see how we're stacking our search, and it visually helps me. You can also have it formatted under the user settings, I believe, where it can do that as well. But what we're going to be doing here is count by status. Man, I cannot type today. And then what we're going to do is count isn't a really great name for a field. We know that it's a total, but it's not just going to be the best description, especially when we're talking about technical things. We really want to be as specific as we can. So we're going to add another pipe here, and we're just going to rename. And again, that's just going to rename a specified field count as number of events. Add these apostrophes here just to dictate what we're going to be naming that field to. And then now we're going to go ahead and run this. So now what I've done is I have broken out a rule set here where I'm looking at these different statuses based off of what is happening, and I'm seeing the number of events that are coming through with them. So again, this could be a view that I go ahead and save as either a dashboard, a visualization. I could add a graph here. There's a variety of options available based off of what we're seeing. So again, that could look like adding in those visualizations, whether it's a graph, looking at it from, again, that statistical perspective, formatting it through there. And then from there, again, we have those visualizations. We have charts, we have timelines. So again, depending on what we're doing, we could add a few different things. We could even add, again, toggles to look at, okay, for my status codes based off of this field, let me filter through and see what's going through on with time. And again, this is all meant to be an example. This is really just helping build some of those skills where, again, we're starting with what we know. So purchases, actions, base terms, and then we're slowly building into, okay, give me what that means from a mathematical basis. How much of this is happening? And then from there, we're just renaming that in a way that makes it normalized to anyone else who wants to reference this data. Hey, this is the status code. This is the number of events that happen for that status code. And then from there, I could save this as an existing dashboard, or I could make a new one. It's going to want to take me to Dashboard Studio there. And again, you can use a variety of different options there. I'm just going to do, man, I cannot type. And then from there, you can add it into the application, or you can have your own personalized dashboards, whichever is easiest for you. And then from there, again, you can use Dashboard Studio or the Splunk Classic experience with dashboarding. Either one is going to be fine. The Dashboard Studio is the updated versioning of the dashboards, and that's going to be where there's quite a few options baked in. So would highly recommend doing that if that's something that you're open to. But also you're able to, again, look through and add anything else that you need here. So whether that's panel titles, visualization types, or the additional statistics tables, or you want to, again, add additional information, you can do that here. So we'll save this dashboard. Oh, I guess I got to select that. We'll save that there. Do that. And now when I view my dashboard, we'll give it a second to load. Again, this is going to be what it looks like. You can have your descriptions here. And again, there's going to be different filters that we can add. And as we, again, work through the lab, you'll have that ability to gain that access there and really work through some of those different sessions. So what we can do is now we need to sit there and think from a separate perspective, how are we going to start investigating these events from maybe an IT perspective and things along those lines? So again, now that we've logged into Splunk, we're able to access everything. We've built out a dashboard. Where are we going from there? And again, this is going to be where the next phase of the integrations come from. I'll go ahead and open up Splunkbase so we can get a visual reference for what we're going to be looking at. But let me go ahead and walk through what the difference is between these two types of content. Splunkbase is going to be, if you think of Splunk like an iPhone, Splunkbase is going to be the app store that allows you to download integrations to your Splunk platform. Those integrations come in two different flavors. And one is really helping with getting that data in, parsing it, normalizing it, providing those source types. The other side is going to be built around those action items, whether it's a visualization, a report, an alert, things along those lines. And how I like to think of it in maybe a separate metaphorical terms is the add-ons provide the foundation for which the house, which are the applications, sit on. All of the applications will reference the source types that are used in these add-ons, which is why when we were bringing in that data, selecting that right source type is going to be really important. What that allows Splunk to do is go, hey, this is a Apache weblog, which is what we're working with here. This is how we need to parse this data. So then from there, when we look at something like an IP address, we're able to link that to a user, which means when we start searching that IP address, we're able to find that across all of the applications that are being brought into our tool, all of the vendor products, all of the different actions that they may have taken, and this can provide that really good holistic view. And it all starts from making sure that data is normalized. The best thing about this app store, though, is the fact that there are going to be no integrations on here outside of the premium integrations that Splunk offers, and it'll be very abundant, which those are. Outside of those, I think it's 6 or 7 integrations. The other multiple thousands have no additional cost associated with them. And because Splunk really operates on a once that data is ingested, you can search and use it however you would like. It is one of those things where you can definitely get increased value from referencing these pre-built integrations. And again, this could be a variety of different things. So again, if we look through, there's quite a few different tools, whether it's Windows, security, AI, Cisco integrations, there's tons of different applications available. And again, due to the customization of Splunk available, you are also more than able to be able to get the existing integrations here. Again, this is going to be really important because again, this is just going to really help prevent that process of, oh my gosh, I'm really going to have to do all this regex for Amazon or something like that. Nope, you're not. Thankfully, a lot of that has been done before you. And so it's more of just leveraging these existing file or build paths that we have. And so again, this is going to be walking through the lab exercise that we just did. So again, this is going to be where we created an application and then we went through and added that data. And then from there, this is again going to be walking through the different areas of Splunk. So we have our applications in the top left, our search bar, we have our event histogram, all of that raw data, the metadata that we're pulling from those fields, and then from there again, that time range selector. And so again, these are going to be those example searches that we were throwing at Splunk, and we're trying to make sure again that we're looking at very specific things. And so this is going to be again really important because, for example, with the 503, it's going to find all those events that contain the words 503 and purchase. The Boolean operators are going to be really important. One thing to note, again, as it's saying there, they all must be uppercase. And again, use field name equals value to ensure the most accurate results there. So again, this is really going to be breaking down what we're doing with those searches. So again, these are going to be the terms that help us isolate What data pool are we referencing? This is again going to be that pipe that we were talking about. Again, the output is to the left and the input is to the right. So again, we're going to be looking at these commands here. So again, we're going to be giving that statistical command, and there's going to be quite a few different commands that you can use to transform, filter, and process the data. And then from there, there's going to be functions that we can add. So whether it's quantifying, using those statistic calculations, again, really helping us gain that perspective. And then from there, we're just renaming it. So again, this is letting us know, look through this specific index and only items with this action on it. So again, if we're looking here, this is where we're going to be getting that stats count by. It's going to be providing us this table. The index main and the action equals purchase is going to be getting us that raw data. And then again, we can see the transformation up here with the number of events. And these quick reference guides are going to be really, really great. I carry them with me everywhere. They really help provide a great list of all of these commands, best practices with them. And it's something where I have the PDF downloaded. So even if it's air gapped, I'm covered because again, there's a lot of searching terms, there's a lot of things that you can do. And the more that you know, the more value you'll get out of your own Splunk instance because again, that's just going to be more tools in your toolbox that you can leverage whenever incidents are happening. And so focusing on today's scenario, what this is really going to be boiling down to is, and again, what we saw on that lab is Buttercup Enterprises is going to be a large national online retailer operating in the US. And it's going to sell a variety of different books, clothings, and other gift items through its web store. The enterprises have recently invested in Splunk and now they want to start using it to actually make decisions across their entire business. You and me and everyone here today are going to be the power user that's responsible for achieving this. And some of the insights that we're going to be looking to are the things that we're covering. So whether that's IT operations, DevOps, business analytics, or security and fraud, we're building out those panels to help with that. So for example, with this one, this is going to be a great one that can help IT teams monitor different statuses and monitor what's actually going on a timely basis and making sure that they're responding in the event that they need to. And so again, this is going to be what does the business really want to see? They're going to want to see from the IT operations team, here's through how do we investigate these successful versus unsuccessful web server requests over time? How do we know what's going on there? What does that even look like? From the DevOps team, it's show the most common customer operating systems and which web browsers are experiencing the most failures. For the business analytics team, we're going to be looking to show lost revenue from the Buttercup Enterprises website. Security and fraud is going to be really concerned with the web activity by geographic location. They care if someone's trying to log in from places, they're really trying to look for lateral movement, things along those lines. Um, Buttercup Enterprises wants all of this on a beautiful background or on a beautiful dashboard with the background image. And that's again going to be what we're looking to build out today. And so the first part that we're going to be looking to do, and again, I'll walk through this, I'll show through here what these tasks are going to be. So maybe we have a little bit better of an understanding of what we're going to be doing once we get to the hands-on portion here. And then from there, we'll be able to kind of follow along and build out that dashboard and utilizing the methodology that we were using there, we're going to be able to take that and have the ability to start building out any additional dashboards that may be requested of you. And so what we're going to be doing is again, showing successful versus unsuccessful web server requests over time. We're also going to be using a stacked column chart visualization to achieve this. And then we're going to add our chart to a dashboard that we're going to be creating. And when we're making these dashboards, again, make sure to choose the dashboard studio selection and use the absolute layout mode, which is going to allow us to enable some of the customization that they're looking for a little bit down the line. And so again, this is going to walk through just a little bit of the difference between the different dashboards and why we're kind of doing this. So for many years, Splunk's simple XML dashboards offered a wide range of visualizations, but they would require custom JavaScript, CSS, or HTML to apply customizations such as changing chart colors or adding static text. I actually got my start with Splunk doing the HTML dashboards myself. Um, so I'm very thrilled with this. To empower users to create powerful visual storytelling dashboards, we went ahead and released the Dashboard Studio, which is included in both Splunk Enterprise and the cloud version 8.2 and later. It's going to offer an intuitive, streamlined editing experience, which is more focused on the GUI versus the back-end coding to help, again, really provide those customized pixel perfect layouts without the need for coding everything that you would typically see on legacy systems. And so since the business is going to want us to use a custom background image because maybe the CEO is going to walk by in a few days and we just want to make sure it looks nice and pretty, we're going to go ahead and make sure that we're using that dashboard studio because that's going to make things a little bit easier. That's not to say classic dashboards don't have their use. They are easy to deploy. They can really help deliver good information and metrics, but they can be time consuming and it depends on what the overall goal of the dashboard is. Is this to get you to an incident so you can resolve it as quickly as possible? Is this to display information to a decision maker or someone who cares about the business? Here's overall holistically how we're doing. Once we take that perspective, that's going to help us better understand how to create these views. For some, we may need that more simplified, streamlined process. For others, the classic may work. It just really depends what the specific use case will be. And so, again, we're going to go through and walk through what we just did here. So, again, when we flip over to our Splunk instance, again, we're going to click over here in the apps drop down. We're going to go ahead and select Splunk4Rookies and just make sure we're still in the same search head. From here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start looking through again that dashboard where if we reference this, okay, so it's successful versus unsuccessful web server requests. So that's probably going to be in that main index, which I had everything go to. If I could type, that would be fantastic. Main. I know I use that source type access combined, so let's throw that in there. And I'm going to go ahead and pipe that to a time chart count by status. So I can see over time, how are these statuses reporting through? And then from there, I can go ahead and search that. Well, notice it took me to the stats here, but again, if I add this visualization here, this is going to be what we're going to be looking for. Now, probably going to be good ideas to have maybe a limit on the side of the graph. And again, we can use that through formatting by limiting the x-axis, y-axis, and so on. We can also add an overlay to let us know trend lines over time. So is that something that typically happens? Are we running machine learning models on this to predict where this may be in the future? There are definitely options available for that. And so now what we're going to do is, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to go ahead and add the limit myself. So all we do for that is we just do limit equals 10. Because at that point, it's an issue and we need to go ahead and solve that. So I'll rerun that search. And now we see that we're starting to limit some of what we're seeing there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click on the format here. We're going to go ahead and click on the general tab, and we're going to go ahead and click on stacked. So now we're able to see, okay, how does this all compare with each other? Because typically if it's all in a general kind of line, it's okay, we can see that. When there's this large purple here, that's either things are resolving really successfully, or we have something that we need to go ahead and look at. And again, you can play around with these settings to see what may be better reflected in your own environment. It just really depends what you're seeing day to day. And so now that I've got what looks to be what I need here, I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now, I made that dashboard earlier as an example, but I'm going to go ahead and make a new one for the purposes of today's project here. We're going to, again, I believe if we look here, this is the IT operations team, and we were looking for, if I go here, oh, come on, work with me, slides. I know you will. There we go. So we're looking at the IT operation successful versus unsuccessful web server requests. That's probably going to be a great name. Maybe that's a little verbose, but it'll be fine. And what we can then do is we'll have descriptions, we'll have things in the different permissions again. And again, we have these different options for the dashboard studio. So I'll go ahead and just click on that there. And again, I believe it asked us to click on the absolute. So we'll go ahead and click on that. If you wanted to add a panel title, you can throw that in here. If you wanted it to be a chart versus the column chart, you can select those options. And again, what we may do is we'll copy and paste this down here because that maybe makes more sense as a panel title. We'll just label this the Splunk overview. That's a good name. And so then from there, I'm going to go ahead and save this to that dashboard. So if I view my dashboard, we'll give it a second to load. This is going to be what they're looking for. And if we go to the next slide, we can kind of see that's what we're hitting here. So again, all we did is we ran the last search. And if I throw that in there, oh, no, copy and paste that. Can copy that on there. Now, there's other ways I can do this as well. If I just run this, knowing what I need, I can also sit there and click on status, top values over time. Change it to the column chart. Changed it to stacked. And that should be close to the same there. So again, there's going to be many different ways that you can go ahead and arrive to these different conclusions here. And so again, we have the different error codes and it's splitting it out. And again, if we were doing the count by status, it would split it out via this. And then that would be where we would be able to stack them there. So again, just little things like that that can help you build out these statistics, build out these visualizations, and let you get the holistic picture. And again, we're seeing 58% are these 200 status codes. So again, that could be something worth jumping into, or it could be something that, hey, we just need to tune that out, whatever the use case may be. So again, we covered those different dashboards. What's the difference between the classic versus dashboard studio? And again, if we look, this is going to be that exact panel that we're adding in there. And again, that's the search that we ran. So right now, we look over, barring the name, that's about what we're looking to see here. So for the DevOps team, we're going to want to show the most common customer operating systems and which web browsers are experiencing the most failures. So typically with that, again, we're just going to start with that index equals main, and we're going to look across that source type. And then from there, we can see that operating system information in our event is in our events. But if I were to go ahead and, for example, look at a search, I'm not really going to see the operating system over here. You might see some other fields, but not something that we're seeing to go, hey, this is what an OS is, and this is what it's running. So that's a problem. But again, thankfully with Splunk, we have that ability to go, hey, here's this extra field that's in my data. Here's what you're looking for. So what we're going to do is, again, we're going to add this Macintosh field here, which is that operating system, into that field so we can start searching through using that. So what we're going to go ahead and do is, again, we're going to go ahead and search through. And we're going to go right here. And what we're going to want to go ahead and do is click on this right here. And we're going to go ahead, or no, sorry, clicking on event actions here. And we're going to go ahead and click on the extract fields. And so again, we're going to go ahead and use regular expression. So we can click on this, and then we'll go ahead and click on next. And again, all we did is we just clicked event actions, extract fields. And for me, this was the first event that populated when I ran this search. What you're going to want to do is look for this Macintosh right here. You can also do it for Windows, Linux. There's a few on here. This is just the event that I'm going to be working with right here. So we'll go ahead and click next. And we will now be presented with this sample event from which to extract our field. And so for this exercise, we're going to need to extract the platform, which is what we're calling the operating system, information from each event, so now we can report on it. So we're going to be looking for the platform operating system information in our event. So whether that's Linux, Macintosh, Windows, Amazon, Apple, the typical ones that we see, and that's going to be contained in that user agent string towards the end of the event. So if we're looking here, that's going to be this right here. And so what I'm going to do is I just highlighted it. Again, I just clicked across. And now I'm going to sit there and add the title platform. Click on add the extraction. From there, I now have the ability to preview, okay, are there any non-matches first off, which good. But second off, okay, let me look through my events. Is the field I highlighted up here consistently done in my data? So when I look through here, it's okay, yeah, it's catching Macintosh, it's catching Windows, it's catching Linux. This is good. This is what I'm looking for. We got iPhone, and I'm sure if we go down, we'll catch an Android somewhere too. So this is going to let me know, hey, I'm good. I have what I need. So from there, we're going to go ahead and again, we're now going to go ahead and click next because we've again validated and again really make sure that this is something when you're applying that you're not finding any non-matches, you're not seeing anything where it's skipping things or catching additional things like right here for example, it's catching additional versioning and things along those lines. So this is going to be one of those things that again, it is really dependent on the individual data source, but it can really help capture these fields here. And so then from there, what we would like to do is click next. We'll go ahead and make sure that we're good on the platform section. We're good on who's owning it, what applications it's in, and then from there we can even see the specific regex expression that we're applying. From there, I'm just going to go ahead and click finish. And now I'm going to go ahead and click on explore the fields I just created in search. Give it a second to load. And again, this is going to be a great example of why these little searches here are going to just kill us. But what we're going to be able to see once the search does run is that I now have a platform field over here that is capturing all of this information. And I believe since we're looking for the most common values, what we'll be able to do is a simple stats count by platform. And then from there, we can go ahead and save that. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do is go back here. I'm going to go ahead and just click on that top values right here. So again, we're seeing all of this here. And again, we're going to change this to this bar chart. We're going to go ahead and make sure that everything looks okay here. We're going to go ahead and make sure that that limit's in place, which is nice. And then from there, what we're going to go ahead and do Um, and then from there, what we need to go ahead and do is save this to our dashboard platform. Now, we've already built out a dashboard that we're working towards. So what we can do is look at the existing dashboards that we've made. We can add it to the Splunk overview dashboard. And now what I can do is we can add this as the DevOps platform views. We'll go ahead and just double check no advanced settings needed. And from there, I can go ahead and save that dashboard. And when we view that dashboard, we can now see that it's here. And if we want to edit it around, drag it around, maybe stretch it out a little so it's a little easier, we want to add some colors, legends, whatever the use case may be, we have quite a bit of configuration options available, which is again going to be one of those really nice benefits of that Splunk Dashboard Studio. And so, what a good point would be right now is since we've covered a couple of the different use cases here, we've taken out the IT ops and the DevOps team. Right now, I think we can have a good little bio break. We'll take about 10 minutes, come back at, for me, it's going to be 12:02 Mountain Time, but depending on your time zone, it may be earlier, it may be later. But that's going to be 2 minutes past the top of the hour here. So if there's any coffee needed, any bio breaks needed just to get up, stretch your legs, not hear the word Splunk for 10 minutes, more than understood, and we'll be back right around then. And as always, if there are any housekeeping items, please feel free to use that Q&A that we have in the Zoom chat, and we'll be sure to respond to anything that comes up there. But thank you guys for working with me so far, and we can definitely take that break here and reconvene in about 10 minutes. So thank you guys. Yes, Taylor, you're able to do that. It's all good. It's one of those things where as long as you're getting the information, it's fine. We're coming up on the tail end anyways, so it's one of those things where we really just wanted to keep things like the instances and some of the other stuff there as well. But more than fine there, and yeah, definitely able to get that out towards you. And in the event, yeah, that we didn't want to build some of these field extractions or we wanted to find better matches, again, those add-ons are always going to be a great spot to check as well. And circling back now at the top of the hour, we'll let everyone trickle in here. Right now, where we're at is we've gotten a few of the panels in the environment working, and now we're going to be looking towards the next section here. So again, we've gotten the IT ops and the DevOps. So we walk through how we go and extract a new field using the event actions, and we can highlight the individual fields that are located in our data. And then from there, we use these parameters here to find that platform field, show the top values for that, and then create an area chart showing the 5 browsers that are experiencing the most, which it had on there, but we're fine to go ahead and kind of move on from there. So this is again what that dashboard would look like. And for this one, it's going to be this search right here. Let me go ahead and double check I'm on the right one real quick. Make it a little easier for everyone. Again, all of this should be in the lab guide as well. So again, just something to throw on there. So again, if we wanted to add that in, we would go ahead, throw this up here. Go ahead, look at the visualization here. We'll make that this time series chart. And we'll go ahead and save this as the existing panel. And save that. And now if we view the dashboard, that's going to be a little closer with some stretching to what they're looking to see here. And again, if we notice, the more of these toggles that we add, these dashboards will update to that as well. And so again, all we did is we ran this specific Splunk search that I put in that chat. And then from there, I saved that panel here. So if we go ahead and edit this, we can drag it out because that's honestly going to really bother me. Oh, that's going to bother me more. Oh, now I'm really bothered. We'll just undo all of that. And now we'll just drag this over and keep it nice and organized. There we go. So now when I look at it, it's all nice and stretched out the way it should be. For the next piece though, now that we've achieved this goal, and again, we have this panel up top so we can see what's going on, and then we have this view here, we're going to be looking for, again, any additional information here. Again, this is going to be going into just the different ways that you can edit, tweak, add searches, add different percentages, add things along those lines if you wanted to. There's, again, just so many options with the flexibility of Splunk that you have quite a bit available to you to do all of these different options here. And so again, this is that search that we pasted. This is what it would look like in a typical environment. And again, your charts may look a little differently. That's the beauty of event gen. Everyone gets a different result, but ultimately what we're really honing in on is the process by which we're focusing the data. So specifying where the data is, what it's supposed to look like, any other exclusions or inclusions that can help us reduce how much data we're searching across. And then again, applying these transformations here so we can understand it once we have found what we're looking for. So again, this is the dashboard so far. If you want to drag it around, make it look a little different, that's great. As long as we have these three panels, we are looking pretty. And from there, all we need to do is again, continue to follow this same process. This is again going to break down the stats command and let you know all of the different options that are available with that. It's also going to be looking at the time chart as well. And so again, when we're thinking of that stats command, we're thinking of things like averages, values, distinct counts, sums. Think very mathy. I need a hard number from the fields, and I need Splunk to do that for me. The time chart is then going to take those data points and then create that corresponding table that you'll see here. So over time, we can see, okay, we're having spikes. We're not having spikes. We're able to see statistically what's going on. This can be very beneficial because this can help you monitor application health, user experience. It can help monitor a variety of security trends. There's really not going to be a specific domain that this methodology sticks to. It is applicable everywhere. And so, again, when we're looking for different things, we're going to really be helping enriching that data. We're going to be trying to find what's there and how can we make it better. Splunk, we actually have the ability to enrich that data we have by looking up or pulling in additional contextual data. So for our business analytics use case, we will need to pull in some additional information to help us report on revenue because we currently don't have any pricing information. And then from there, we're going to correlate that web server data with product pricing information so we can determine the lost revenue, which is something Buttercup can't get from their BI tool, which is something that is really important for them because that's going to be how they're forecasting and they're making all of their decisions for their products. And I'm sure many of you with your companies are in the same position where they're trying to understand what's going on and stay ahead. So, again, for this particular lab that we're going to walk through, we've actually added the lookup file to your Splunk instance. So it's going to be product underscore codes CSV. And this file is going to contain the fields category, product underscore ID, product underscore name, and product underscore price. And this is going to be, again, that information that we're going to be looking for. And so again, what we're going to do is it's going to have us click up here into settings. We're then going to click into those lookups. We're going to click on that lookup file, and then we're going to check for those product codes in the CSV. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and enrich that information. And so when we're running that search, we're going to, again, have that contextual information to really help let us know what we're doing. And then we're going to pipe that into our lookup command here, which is going to help us enrich that data at search time on the fly here. The name of the lookup file is going to be needed to be included, and then the field to join on. So again, product underscore ID is the field that exists in both the Splunk data and the lookup table. And so again, that's going to be that joining thing that we use to link these different um, tables together. This could also be something like an asset and identity table for different machines in your environment. There's a variety of use cases that this could apply to. And so from there, ultimately what the guide is going to be asking us to do is using this lookup command, we're going to enrich the events with price data from our lookup file. So then we can ultimately show in one nice pretty number with a little graph how much money we're losing. And from there, we're going to add that to that dashboard. So that dashboard can be that Splunk overview one-stop shop that everyone's going to want. And so what we're going to do is, again, we're going to go back to our favorite search and reporting app here. Again, just want to make sure we're in the right application. Splunk4Rookies is what I have named the application I created in step one. Whatever the application is, that may be it for you. And what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start looking through that data. So again, the first thing I want to go ahead and do is click on settings here. Then I'm going to go ahead and look through this knowledge objects tab here, and I'm going to go ahead and click on lookups. From there, I'm going to go and click on the lookup table files here. And then from here, we're going to be looking for a specific file name here. So I'll go ahead and paste that in the chat for you. And so again, if we're looking here, we're looking for product codes. So again, I can see it's going to be this one right here. I did want to just put that in there just in case anyone wants to search for them or just have a little bit more understanding of what that looks like. And so again, if you wanted to go ahead and look at this, you can do that. If you wanted to go ahead and start dialing in, you can as well. And so what that actually looks like is just running a simple Splunk search. So we'll go back again to our Splunk4Rookies application here. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to run a pipe. I'm going to type in input lookup, which is the command to reference those results from a specific lookup table. And then from there, I'm just going to type product codes.csv. What I just typed though. Oh man, the fun of Splunk. There we go. That makes no sense to me, man. But anyways, we'll be fine here. This would just again just display those
Just a
additional
quick
values.
typo. You did
Oh,
prod cut codes instead of product
oh,
codes.
it was user error. If I didn't introduce that, this thing would be such a stable platform. All right, here we go. That's what it's supposed to look like. Man, I should have drank more coffee during the bio break there. So here again is going to be just letting us know what's on that reference lookup table here. It's going to be that category. So again, is this clothing, books, gifts, whatever the item may be, product ID, the product name, and ultimately how much it costs. So then from there, what we can do is we can start looking at this product ID that is shared between multiple different events. And we can go, okay, for every time that we see one of these PP-5s get sold, let's go ahead and add a 9.99 to our total. So we can see, okay, how much money are we making? And then once we have a good average for, okay, this is how much money we expect to see in a certain amount of time, what deviates from that? And then from there, you can start analyzing, okay, why is this deviating? And so on. And so this is, again, just going to be really helping you understand what's actually in those lookups. So then when we're joining those different fields or we're adding different things in, or we're trying to reference how much things cost or whatever it may be, this would be how you reference that. It also helps provide, in the event you're doing things like asset lists or anything along those lines, the ability to quick reference to, again, just make sure, hey, this is matching up significantly as well. And so again, we're going to go ahead and take this and we're going to go ahead and actually use this now in a Splunk perspective. So we're going to go back to that index equals main command, letting us know, hey, we're looking through all of our data. We're again going to be looking for source type. Let me double check my spellings. Equals access bind. And then from there, we can do the action equals purchase here. Double check my spelling and we're good there. I'll again hit shift enter, pop that